All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. Me and Hitch are back with y'all once again on this Monday evening to talk all about the Rebels sweep of Wright State. Another good weekend for the Rebels. They get three games that they should have won. They did win them all. The one Sunday, I know it was only a 7-3 game, but never really felt like it was in doubt. Overall, thought we played pretty well this weekend. Before we dive into all that, how's it going, Hitch? What all's going on in your part of the world? Still hustling good, all that?
Yeah, still got the Mr. Hustle Award.
Okay.
You know me. Hey, Coach Lyles, he can spot talent. Trust me, he can. There's plenty of our listeners, I think, all 16 or 17 of them, they know Coach Lyles. But no, everything's good over here in this neck of the woods. It was good to see the Rebels sweep this weekend. When it really feels like the first couple of weekends leading into SEC play, there are some missteps around the SEC, and these first two weekends hadn't been any different. But luckily, the Rebels are taking care of business and beating the teams that are put in front of them. So that's what I want to see.
Yeah. And one last thing about the Rehearsal Awards. One thing I've always said about you, you have always been a great trier. I mean, you try harder than anybody. And so it didn't surprise me at all when you told me about that. We need to find a little shelf or something behind you, get that sucker put up.
I'll talk to Debbie and Owen, see if they can track it down, see if they still got it from one of the. That's weird. I said her name first, Owen and Debbie, whichever.
Yeah.
But
D comes before O, so it was just alphabetical.
Right. One of their 10 or 12 moves, I'm sure that it has made it each time. So we'll see. I'll ask them about it. Yeah. But yeah, no, I try hard. I'm going to try. I'm going to give you my all at least one time.
Great trier. All right, let's go ahead and dive into what happened here against Wright State this weekend. Obviously, we'll start out on Friday. Like we normally do, we'll start out on the pitching side. I thought it was an encouraging outing for Hunter Elliott for the simple reason that he didn't have his best stuff. He was all over the place. It ends up with 5 walks by the time it's all said and done. He had 3 walks the opening weekend, none last weekend. Comes back with 5 here. But he always came back with that changeup when he really needed one. Goes 5 innings, only allows 1 hit, the 5 walks, but 7 strikeouts. He looked dominant once again, even without his best stuff. That's what you need out of an ace, right? When he gets up on the mound and he doesn't have his best stuff, he's still able to limit the scoring, put up zeros, get you through 5 innings, and hand it over to what's been, to this point, a pretty good bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, he just Hunter Elliott is human, right? Like, I mean, he can throw pitches that other players can hit or that aren't in the strike zone. Is kind of all that we saw here. I'm really looking forward to him toeing the rubber this coming weekend and seeing. I want to see Hunter Elliott like from last Friday night, and just like not mad, but angry. I want to see him pitch angry and pitch with some determination. And man, this is going to be a fun weekend. I'm ready.
Yeah, absolutely. See if he can bounce back like he did the previous weekend after walking those 3 or 4, whatever it was, against Arizona. He had a really good outing against Eastern Kentucky. See if he can bounce back and do that again. Here this weekend against Jacksonville State, Alex Caney ends up relieving him, goes 1 inning, gives up 3 hits, only 1 run, but it wasn't earned, no walks, 2 strikeouts, just a fine outing, got through an inning, got into a little bit of trouble. The guy that I think both of us were really impressed with, though, on the weekend, Cade Townsend, splitter, whatever that was, he was throwing on Friday that was – 86 to 88 miles an hour. They really seemed to have trouble picking that up. It looked fastball out of the hand, got to the plate, and absolutely died on them. Just dove straight down. They were over the top of it over and over again. Created a lot of swings and misses. He ends up walking 2 during those 2 innings, but striking out 3, throwing 36 pitches. Thought it was a really encouraging outing from the true freshman here.
Yeah, I mean, that pitch is tough, right? I mean, when it is looking like a fastball for 57 feet, and then right at the end it dies on you. It's tough. But yeah, I'm with you. 2 innings, a couple of walks there. I think him, along with all the other talented freshmen that we have, you keep hearing when they are in the zone, they're good. So 2 walks over 2 innings is something that you'd like to see cut down. But we did get to see how good his stuff is when he's in the zone, and it's very good.
Yeah, another one whose stuff was really good that ended up closing out this game. Patrick Galley with 1 inning pitch. Did give up a couple hits, 1 walk, but 2 strikeouts. Again, everything with him is staying in the zone and not walking guys, right? If he stays in the zone, his stuff's going to be good enough. He's going to beat guys. And I've been encouraged with his control so far this year. We've seen him a couple times already. He kind of steers away from that 97, 98 mile per hour fastball and really goes with that cutter more than anything right now, which is helping him throw more strikes there. So really encouraged with him as well. Want to get him more opportunities to kind of get into a little bit of a rhythm. I think he can be a very big piece of this bullpen, a guy that can come in and get strikeouts for you when you're really in a pickle.
For sure. You know how I feel about Galley, right? I mean, we talked about him last year. He's as good as there is in the bullpen. And that was before he had that cutter. So now you add that to his arsenal where you have to respect triple digits almost. And now that cutter along with his off speed, yeah, he's tough.
Yeah. Last year it was a lot of 97, 98, touching 99. And then to kind of keep you honest, he would have that slider, and it was very rarely in the zone. But now with that cutter at 92, 93, he's able to have a pitch that he can control that's still hard, but a big enough discrepancy from the four-seamer to where it keeps you off balance a little bit. I think that's going to end up being a huge weapon for him. Shifting over to the offensive side of the ball here. On Friday, Federico out in left field leading off again. Goes 2 for 3 with a couple of walks, couple runs. Guy just keeps doing it, right? Hitting over 500 so far on the year. Just keeps hammering through it. Luke Hill, 1 for 3 with a walk, 2 runs, and an RBI. Ryan Moorman has been incredible ever since he got on campus. Maybe our most consistent hitter, not named Luke Hill, all throughout the year so far. Goes 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. 2 runs scored. Just another incredible game for him. My player of the week last week, Moorman was yours. He obviously had a good weekend. Mine, Mitchell Sanford, just continues his hot hitting as well. 2 for 4 with a couple RBIs. Judd Udermark, 2 for 4 with a bomb run, 3 RBIs. Smithwick was DHing, 1 for 4. Payno, 1 for 4. Just who stood out in this lineup to you on Friday?
Well, I mean, Friday night, this is the night Udemark hit the absolute tank, isn't it? Didn't he hit a ball like 6,000 feet?
Correct. Yes.
But I mean,
that was the official measurement too.
Yeah. I mean, who didn't stand out in the lineup, right? You had a lot of guys that went to the plate and took some swings with meaning. And that was good to see, right? You had only the 1 home run, but Moorman had 2 doubles. Sanford, man, it's so good to see him put the bat on the ball because his swing is so pretty. But who wasn't impressive in this lineup? We'll talk about Luke Chang in just a little while, but right, we talked about him, how his batting average isn't that great. He only has 1 hit, but he's been on base, it seems like, every other time. And even Payno, right?
I think his on base is 533, if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
Yeah. But even Payno on Friday night, got into it with a hit. He had a couple hits on the weekend. I think he's starting to come around. But, yeah, I mean, I think everybody in the lineup had a hit except for the catcher, Foley. And he struck out a couple of times, but he kind of made up for it with a no-doubter on Sunday.
Yeah. And Chang didn't have a hit either, but he walked once and then ended up scoring a run as well. So he had a really productive game. 1 walk, 1 hit by pitch. So that 0 for 2 doesn't look near as bad. like you said, Fowley made up for it. This was I texted you as soon as the lineup came out. I said there's a real conversation to be had if Fowley ends up catching 2 out of the 3 games this weekend. Obviously, we got that with Smithwick catching on Saturday. But what have you seen from Fowley? Do you think that that's kind of a thing that he could take over that catcher position, and you just kind of figure out another way to incorporate Smithwick? I mean, yeah, he can come in and give him a breather every so often, but it kind of feels like Fowley's leading that catcher position battle today.
Yeah, I think so. I think that you can't let it get out of control like you did last season. Right. And so I think the moment that Smithwick wasn't perfect behind the plate, I think you had ears perked up and you think, okay, well, we may have to put something else in motion. And then, he's had a couple of missteps behind the plate, and he's not, tearing the cover off the ball right now either. And so it kind of makes it not an easy decision, but it makes it to where
definitely begs the question, doesn't it?
Right. The talk has to be had. And yeah, I mean, to me, from what I've seen, Frawley looks better behind the plate than Smithwick. But we just kind of see what Mike does. He is a wild card.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. One last thing I'll point out about the game on Friday that I was pleased with. Only 5 guys left on base. Sanford and Udemark both left 2 on base. But look, when you've got Federico, Luke Hill, and Ryan Moorman in front of you getting on base as many times as they do, that's going to happen. You're eventually going to have to leave somebody on base. So not too upset at those guys there. But if you only leave 5 guys on base throughout the entire game, that's something you can live with. And Ole Miss, for the most part, was able to take advantage of traffic on the base paths.
Especially if you score 9,
Yeah. That's what I'm about to say. You end up winning 9-1 anyway. So altogether, let's see, that's 3, 5, 6, 7. Those 3 guys ahead of Sanford and Udemark were on base a total of 9 times. So you only get 4 left on base out of the 9 times that they're on. You're doing okay. And it's not like they didn't do well themselves. They both went 2 for 4. Udemark with the bomb, and then obviously Sanford with the 2 doubles there. So overall, a good game there on Friday night for the Rebels. Get the weekend started off the right way, and then you turn your attention to Saturday. Hand the ball off to our guy Riley Maddox, and it was kind of the same thing as Hunter Elliott, right? Came in, didn't really have his best stuff, but he grinds through 5 innings of work, only gives up 2 hits, but he walked 4, struck out 5. But more importantly, he kept throwing up zeros, only throwing 69 pitches there in the 5 innings. Anything in particular you saw from Riley?
No, I mean, just the walks, right? You want to cut down on that. But, I mean, as a whole, the pitching staff this week struck out 40 batters or something crazy. So, it's hard to say, much bad about that. But, yeah, it looked like he, like you said, didn't have his best stuff. But, against Wright State, you battle through that and, kept them. Yeah. I mean, the one number that matters is the 0 under the ER. I mean, truly, that's the number that matters. And on nights when you don't have your best stuff, if you can still throw a 0 up there under ER, then, hey, you got a spot on my team. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And then we run 4 pitchers out there to cover the last 4 innings. They all go 1 inning each. They all strike out 2 batters each. Ryan Rodriguez got started 1 inning, 1 hit. No walks, 2 strikeouts. Landon Waters, 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 earned, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. Sam Takuyan, I thought he looked pretty good. The stuff is obviously there with him. He also gives up a run and a hit in an inning with 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. And then Gunnar Dennis ends up finishing this thing off, giving up 1 unearned run in 1 inning. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. That's been the big thing for Gunnar so far. He's walked way too many people every time he's come into the game. Get that under control. Maybe he can be a guy that can eat up some of these innings for you in games where you don't need to bring in a closer, where you've accumulated a lead. That seems to be maybe what his role is going to be on this team. But if you keep walking guys, you're not going to be able to hold on to that very long. He needs to get that under control. But overall, you get 4 guys to get the last 4 innings covered for you, and it was never really in doubt.
Hey, look, and it looks like Ryan Rodriguez is going to be the lefty, out of the bullpen that Mike turns to first. I say that stupidly, not even looking to or thinking about who the other lefties are right off the top of my head, but we've seen Ryan Rodriguez anytime,
time and time again.
Yeah, time and time again. So looks like that decision has been made. And I think you're right about Gunnar Dennis. His role on the team is going to be, if we're up by a bunch or if we're down by a bunch, he's going to be an innings eater.
Save the bullpen.
You need something like that. Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely. So would like to see Sam kind of get those walks under control a little bit, because I still think that he has the ability to play a pretty big role on this team. I think he can be maybe not back end of the bullpen type material, but 6th, 7th inning in SEC play, be able to come in and get you through an inning, possibly even 2, because he throws hard. He's a big, intimidating frame up there. I'm still in on Sam Takuyan at this point, even though he gave up a run and walked the guy in an inning of work there. Turn it to the offensive side. Not a lot change at the top of the lineup. You get Federico and Hill batting 1 and 2. You swap Sanford and Mormon here in the 3-4. Isaac Humphries back in the lineup. Smithwick, as I said, goes back to catcher. Really struggled in this game. 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. He kind of looks lost a little bit up there at the plate, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, to me, looking at it, his swing looks very long, and it's tough. It's tough to have a long swing in Division I college baseball, because you got these guys that will run it up there at high speeds and can put it wherever they want to on the plate. Maybe he'll figure it out, but it really looks like, you're right, he looks lost up there at the plate a little bit. But a week of practice, 2 weeks of practice, doing thousands of drills a day, rubbing blisters on your hands, from experience, that can help you at the plate. So I'm sure that's what he's doing.
Oh yeah. I'm sure it was. It's different from what we're seeing out of Pano. Pano goes 1 for 3 here, even though he does strike out once, but he does score a run. We kind of touched on it earlier. It just kind of feels different with Pano at the plate, even though he's scuffled from time to time. He is starting to get a hit here and there, but even his outs look different, right? He's making
he
contact.
Looks comfortable, right?
Yeah,
exactly. He's taking swings. He's taking swings that look purposeful, right? Like I think that I don't even remember what day it was, but there was an off-speed pitch. It was a curveball. I should have written it down, but I remember thinking, oh, he saw that pitch. He just missed it. He swung through it, but it was almost like, oh, I got this one. He just missed it, swung over the top of it, underneath it, whatever, but he recognized off speed and he was waiting on it. So, that tells me that he's comfortable at the plate and he's seeing it well. So, and he's got it. I can just tell from this past weekend and watch him swing. It's just a matter of time before he is. I'm not going to make any comparisons, but it's just a matter of time before he's playing very well.
Yeah. I agree with you there. Just kind of running down the box score here. Luke Hill, Mitchell Sanford, Ryan Mormon, Isaac Humphries, Judd Udermark, all of them at least reached base twice. Luke Hill 1 for 3 with a walk. Mitch Sanford 0 for 2, but he did walk twice. Ryan Mormon 2 for 4. Isaac Humphries 2 for 3, and he was hit by a pitch as well. Udermark 2 for 4, and you get big home runs from Udermark once again. And then Ryan Mormon goes yard here in this one as well, getting doubles from both Mormon and Isaac Humphries. Just middle of that lineup, just really raked here. And quite frankly, that was the difference in the game. That's kind of what won it for us.
Yeah, and I mean, Isaac Humphries is an example of what I was kind of talking about with Smithwick. His swing is very short, compact, like to the ball. And man, you could really tell that he had been putting in work, because he'd been struggling a little bit. He'd been walking a lot, but not putting a lot of balls in play. And again, I'll speak to another specific example, because this is what made me have this thought. There was a ball that was a backdoor curveball, slider, something. I don't know. It's down in the zone away from him. And earlier in the year, he was trying to jerk that ball down the right field line. And what he did this weekend was he hit a ball in between center field and left field, right? Like he stayed on the ball and hit it the other way. And when players are doing that, you can tell that they're on it. And so him going 2 for 3 here on Saturday, getting back in the lineup, I think him being in this lineup, the middle, is looking very good, heading into some important games.
Yeah, absolutely. So that kind of wraps it up there from a hitting standpoint. Like I said, Owen Pano does go 1 for 3. Braden Randall gets started second. He goes 0 for 3, but he does walk. And then Chain comes in as a defensive replacement. There towards the end, we get stolen bases from Judd Udermark, Isaac Humphreys, and Mitchell Sanford. Caught stealing was Judd Udermark and Luke Hill. It's one thing that seems to be kind of an emphasis for this team is they're really wanting to run more. We've seen that a lot so far here in the early going. Shifting to Sunday here, Rebels end up winning this one 7-3, like we had said earlier. They jump out to that 3-0 lead there early in the first inning. Mason Nichols was incredible here, though. Only goes 4 innings, only 60 pitches in the 4 innings. One mistake, and that's it. The big 3-run bomb that he gave up. Outside of that, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts, doubles his career high in strikeouts in those 4 innings. And outside of that 1 pitch, Mason looked as good as he's looked all year long.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if I'm remembering the sequence right, I think it felt like he just got cutter happy and missed one.
Elevated it.
Middle, and man, that kid, he's projected to be maybe the Horizon Player of the Year or something.
Boston Smith. Yeah,
he put a charge into it and he hit it a long way. But yeah, you're right. You look at Mason Nichols' box score and compare it to Riley Maddox or Hunter Elliott, and you think that he probably had the worst outing of the weekend, but no, he was probably the best out of the 3 this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He just had, unfortunately, 2 guys were on and a guy ran into one. But that was the one mistake he made, and everything else was, man, he was on that changeup to lefties was dancing. That cutter was, man, yeah. Mason Nichols looked in form Sunday.
Yes, he did. No doubt about that. And then the other Mason Morris comes in to relieve him. There after 4 innings, he ends up going 3 innings. Mason has really put together some quality outings here. 3 innings, no hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Just seems like every time he's come into the game, he's been really, really good. The fastball in particular, he's able to offset it with that cutter and the slider as well. Just really mixing his pitches, keeping people off balance, staying in the strike zone, and he's got people's heads spinning whenever they step into the box right now.
Yeah, I will say this about his performance on Sunday. Right, you look at it; it looks really good. There were a couple. He made more mistakes than Mason Nichols. Right, he just didn't. He just wasn't punished for them. A lot of the breaking balls he threw were up in the zone, which is a little, hey, you want to keep those down, but he was able to get away with them. And I think that really speaks to his ability to add velocity and add that cutter in the offseason, because last year he throws those pitches. He's not getting away with that slider at the letters, right? But this year, because they have to respect extra velocity and you have to think about another pitch, then he's able to kind of get away with those. But yeah, just he's been really good this year. You just want to keep those sliders down in the zone.
Yeah. And then Braden Jones comes in, another guy that's been really good out of the bullpen. 1 inning, 1 hit, no walks, 1 strikeout. And then Connor Spencer comes in for a perfect 9th inning, 2 strikeouts. Look, with these 3 guys right here, Mason Morris, Braden Jones, Connor Spencer, if you can get anything out of Mason Nichols on Sunday, which you normally do, and then you got more than you expected this past Sunday, and you make it Sunday without using those 3 guys, you really like your chances, because those are 3 of the best arms we have coming out of the pen.
Yeah. Give me all of Braden Jones, every ounce of Braden Jones. That kid he can throw it. He knows what he's doing. Not to say the other ones don't, but man, he's
only throws 7 pitches there in that 8th inning as well, and incredibly efficient. Look, Mason Morris threw 3 innings, only threw 33 pitches. That's 11 pitches an inning. And Connor Spencer only threw 11 pitches in the 9th inning there as well. They went up there and they really attacked the Wright State lineup, and they were able to pile up outs and get us out of there with a win. Offensively, Austin Fowley gets back in there at catcher, replacing Smithwick. Smithwick doesn't play this game. You end up having Mormon at DH, Federico at left. Then you plug Humphreys back in there in right field. Furness was at first base here in this one. Luke Hill second, pushing Udemark over to third. It just kind of shows you if they're really shuffling the lineup, trying to figure out what they are going to do here. But I think it was telling that Fowley plays 2 games at catcher and Luke Chain plays 2 games at shortstop. Kind of feels like maybe those 2 guys are trying to work their way in to, at the very least, the majority starter roles at those 2 positions.
Yeah, and I mean, this lineup may never figure out what it is because, Mike, I don't know, he uses so many lineups, so many different lineups that it almost drives me crazy sometimes. But yeah, I think you're right. And I think that even Mike has said this in interviews where he can go like 12 guys deep and feel pretty comfortable plugging them into a lineup. And it's maybe that, right? Like that's caviar and champagne problems when it comes to the Ole Miss Rebels in the past few years, where we've really been struggling to not be able to have a catcher back, right? Yeah, anybody. And so it is nice to have, but I think, the trade-off to that is Pano's not going to play every night at shortstop. Furness isn't going to play every day at first base. Smithwick isn't going to catch or even DH. So I think that's good for the team because, it's just getting all these guys, all these extra at bats. It can't be bad leading into to the SEC play the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Right now, if I had to say players who have solidified their position in this lineup, you get Luke Hill, Ryan Moorman, Mitchell Sanford, Judd Udermark, Hayden Federico for sure. So there's 5 of them. And then more times than not, I think you'll see Pano and Humphrey. So that's 7. And then you have these other 2 positions that you've got to figure out with Fowley and Smithwick at catcher. What are you doing with Furness? Because if you play Furness, he's either going to have to be DH or first base. If he's first, that means Udemark more than likely goes over to third. Yeah, Reuter, I did see a thing where he was supposed to play first base on Friday, but ended up with like minor hamstring pull or something like that, or hamstring injury. And so he ended up not playing all weekend long. But Reuter's another guy you're going to have to work in there as well. Just kind of real quick, though, the offense didn't really do much for us on Sunday. Udermark hits the bomb. He homers in all 3 games this weekend. Fowley hits a bomb. But nobody on this team had more than 1 hit throughout the game. Chain walks twice. Fowley hits and walks. Udermark with the hit and walk. Sanford hit and walk. And then Federico and Hill both with the hit and walk as well. So multiple that were on at least 2 times, but nobody with more than 1 hit. And that leads to 9 guys getting left on base. That's something you got to clean up. You can't have that many guys left on base, especially on a Sunday. That's when you got to score some runs in league play is on Sunday. Those are supposed to be high-scoring games. So we need to take advantage of those situations whenever they do roll around. Kind of looking ahead real quick, the game against Southeastern Louisiana on Tuesday night has been canceled due to impending weather coming in. But we do have Murray State coming up on Wednesday. That game is expected to be played as scheduled. Murray State is one of 7 remaining undefeated teams in the country. Their series, not this past weekend, but the previous weekend, did get canceled with St. Thomas. So they've only played 7 games or 7-0, but they've at least won all 7 of them. Haven't played a whole lot of competition yet, but credit to them. They have still won. Just kind of a couple guys I want to point out with Murray State. Offensively, Luke Mistone, he has played all 7 games. He's hitting .531 with a home run. Jonathan Hogert, .448, and Dan Tukin is batting .407. They also have .382, .346 with Dusty Mercer and Will Veerling, respectively. So they can swing it. That's one thing they have done so far this year. They've swung it pretty well in their games, albeit against lesser competition. But it'll be interesting to see. I think maybe we see a mix of McCausland and Walker Hooks on Wednesday against them. Didn't see either one of them this weekend, obviously, after pitching the midweek last week. And so I'll be interested to see how that ends up working out against Murray State. coming into Oxford this coming up weekend. You get the kind of surprise Jacksonville State Gamecocks. They're 10-2, haven't played a whole lot of competition. They did play at Alabama last Tuesday, gets beat 20-11. So they gave up a bunch of runs, but they scored a bunch to go with it as well. That's one thing they have done. They have scored a good bit looking at their results so far. Against Oakland, they won 9-5, 12-0, 12-6 against Samford, 10-0 against Akron, 11-3 against Akron, 13-0 against Arkansas State last Friday. This is a team that can put up runs, and their starters ERA for the weekends are 0.63, 2.19, and 4.15. This is a team projected at the bottom of Conference USA coming into this year, but they played much better than what they've been projected so far. They do have some guys that can swing it. Colton Haywood, the junior second baseman, is batting .462. He's played in 11 of the 12 games. One thing stuck out to me about Jacksonville State, though, Hitch, I don't know how much you've been able to look into them so far. They've stolen 34 bases so far this year. This is a team that really runs.
Here's some good news. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering where your allegiances are going to be, this coming weekend. This is going to be tough.
Rich Rod is out of there. Rich Rod is gone now, so I don't have to keep up my Jacksonville State fanhood anymore now that Rich Rod's moved on to West Virginia. But yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting chess match though, because obviously,
good, right? We haven't been
absolutely.
tested, right? I mean, it hasn't been tested, so I mean, let's test it. Let's go. Now let's don't Kentucky us. Let's don't run us to death like Kentucky. But let's test it.
That's kind of where I'm going with this, because Fowley is supposed to be a really good catcher behind the plate, right, with a good arm. Smithwick does have a good arm when he's in there and he catches it cleanly. But one thing that we have this year we didn't have last year, our pitchers are really good at keeping runners close on first base, right? We've got 7 or 8 pickoffs so far this year. Hunter Elliott's got 3 by himself. Nichols had 1 on Sunday. Riley Maddox has 1 or 2. I know Walker Hooks has 1 or 2. So we've really improved in that area, and pitchers are going to be able to help the catchers not only by being quick to the plate, but by keeping those runners close to first base as well. That's going to be one thing that I'm really looking forward to this weekend, see how that ends up playing out. Outside of Colton Haywood there, batting .462, Sam Silas is batting .342, Drew Collins and Austin Williamson both batting .341. So they've got some guys, 4 guys that are hitting anywhere between .341 and .462. They don't hit a lot of home runs. You're looking at 6 home runs so far total in their 12 games played. So they don't go deep a lot, but they steal and they walk. They've got 2 guys that have walked over 10 times already this year. So this is a team that's going to try to small ball you to death. I think that'll be an interesting change of pace for Ole Miss. That's something we haven't really faced so far this year.
Yeah, and I mean the picks have obviously been a point of emphasis this year, and it has been a very welcome addition to the repertoire of the pitchers, right? It's a big deal whenever you can pick a guy off or hold a guy one step, like half a step is a big deal when it comes to throwing guys out. And so if you can keep guys there, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, well, before we get out of here, Hitch, let's get to our players of the weekend. Who did you think stood out to you this weekend? Who are you going with?
Judge Utermartin. You can't hit a ball 450 feet and not get player of the week, right? Like he could have not got another hit, but he did. He was 5 for 11, 3 bombs, 2 the other way, and 6 RBIs, right? So it really looks and feels like Judd has figured it out or figured something out, because leading into this weekend, he was having trouble with high fastballs that were up and away. And even if you want to go back even further to last year, he had a lot of trouble with breaking balls. It feels like leading into this weekend or this weekend especially, he was laying off breaking balls and he was really handling that fastball at the letters. And so if he's the guy that has figured it out and can put up these types of numbers, then this offense is going to be trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. You picked Mormon last week. I picked Samford. And then you've got guys like obviously Federico and Luke Hill that just keep hitting. Judd Udermark was obviously the freebie here, but I'm going to go with Mason Nichols. His 4 innings, 10 strikeouts. I thought he was absolutely dominant. So I'm going to go pitcher this week, Mason Nichols. And we've actually had some pretty good luck. Whoever we've picked for player of the week has normally had a pretty good follow-up week to go along with it as well. So hopefully we can continue that trend. And Judd hits a few more bombs out of Swayze this weekend, and Mason shows up and shoves once again on Sunday. But I'm going to go Mason Nichols, doubling his career high in strikeouts as my player of the weekend.
I really wanted to go with Braden Jones, just simply because of what he did Tuesday night. I know we didn't talk about it, but what he did on Tuesday night was so impressive. Coming in, bases loaded, nobody out, gets all 3 outs, nobody scores, and then just with the ease that how easy he made it look on Sunday. But I mean, Judd,
he looks like a real weapon. Looks like a real weapon out of the bullpen.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. But I mean, Judd hit 6,000 feet, so that's my player of the week.
So what can you do? All right, Hitch. Well, I appreciate it, bud. We will get together again. We'll do this again next week, and hopefully talking about another Rebel sweep, maybe another 4-0 week if we end up getting this midweek game taken care of as well. So appreciate it as always, and we'll talk again.
All right, buddy. See you. Hotty toddy.
All right. Hotty toddy.